wait for Lindsay, I guess.
How do I sound?
You sound
Sound
fabulous,
amazing,
Holly.
Dave.
Fabulous.
You all look wonderful.
Especially me.
Don, you're
Dawn,
always the
you always look wonderful.
Oh,
You
God.
are the
What's wrong with
cashier,
him?
Don.
He must have got the Christmas spirit.
And is that Eric?
It is Eric.
Oh,
How we doing tonight?
good, so far.
Oh, where's that student? Sometimes my phone is crazy.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Thank you, ma'am. So we have Dave on, Fuzzy on, we're live on YouTube. So, shall we start?
Hit it,
Okay,
baby.
So this is the Comprehensive Plan Committee meeting on December 12th. Roll call from left to right.
Don Hernan, 33 Murphy's Way.
Peg McDonald, 896 Clark Switzer.
Michelle Felicetti, 32 Red Brook Drive. And in the box,
Dave Alves in cyberspace.
that's right. All right. Welcome to the meeting, everyone. This is kind of a combined meeting with ORC tonight, and we have town manager here with us. I'm going to start off with, I did a small agenda, and I'm kind of going to go backwards from old business to new business. So one thing that happened, I think yesterday or the day before, is the town manager and chair of ORC were able to meet with Southern Maine Planning. I was there in spirit. I couldn't make the meeting. I was at work, so I'm going to kind of let Peg discuss and Lindsay chime in if there's anything she misses about kind of what they talked about. Because the problem, of course, as we all know, is that doing comp plan without the assistance of SMPDC is going to be very difficult due to the amount of data and information that needs to be redone for the town. And one thing I did want to point out that probably hasn't been said before, and I was just looking around online, the last comprehensive plan that was approved by the state for the town of Lyman is 2004.
I saw that. I don't know, I assume we checked town records. We couldn't find any submittal.
If they did it, well, I mean, the state would have the submittal. I mean, it was on their database that I
Oh,
found.
no, I know, but I'm just saying that it should have been, I was on that committee, and I don't recall an explicit, you want to call it a point of order to submit it, but it would seem like, I should have sent you an email, but also you might check with the chairman of that committee, which was, I'll give you a name.
Oh, gosh. The 2019 one?
Yeah, Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I can't remember now.
you got it. Well, you could probably got it.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything online for anything past 2004.
Yeah, that's strange, because I don't remember it coming up at the end of that, but
Because, I mean, even if you submit it, it has to be approved,
right,
too.
Right.
Which is the other thing.
who was it? He owns a farm down here. Has he's got wedding events.
Oh, wow.
George Shaney.
Okay, George Cheney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm just surprised that, if they didn't have it, they didn't have it, but
Yeah.
it's just strange.
It is. So I found that strange because it was just like, that's 20 years is, I look in the mirror, I know what happened in 20 years.
Oh, yeah. No, but I know it's
so-
finished. I mean, we have a
Right,
version of it.
right. Yeah. So, but it's like, one that the state approves of for the town is really, I think, the goal for
Yeah,
for all. Hopefully it isn't an accident and it is online, but I couldn't find it anywhere.
of course, the state doesn't care because they didn't say anything, right?
Right.
Not that that's a point, but.
Right. But I mean, it can impact grants and things like that. and We don't want that
No,
to
I know
happen in
it
the town,
It
so.
should be there.
Yeah, because it is required. So Peg, I'll let you take it away with your meeting with,
Yeah,
Celine.
SMPDC, we just basically talked with them and discussed how they're going to help us with our comprehensive plan and the budget. Of course, we're working within the budget for this year right now, and I think it was 13,000 that we have left over. And then how we're gonna work through that 13,000 to get us to June 30. Hoping, obviously, that the remainder of the funds needed will pass in the budget, and then we can move forward with the rest of the scope of work for the comprehensive plan. They said they were gonna write it all up and kind of work through a way that we can get to that 13 and then kind of stop and wait for the budget to pass, hopefully. And then move forward after that. Obviously, there's a chance that the budget doesn't pass and then it would die and we'd have to come up with a way to, you
And
know,
so
do it.
they also said that they would work a lot on the inventory because Michaela has done a lot of the demographic
Yeah.
data information, which is what helps them build the inventory, which is kind of the next step. And that's the big piece that we were looking at in the Arundel, comp plan. We have the funds this year. I think it was allocated this year for that purpose and we might as well use it. And I think their biggest concern was doing the public engagement piece because it takes up so much of their hours and their staffing and their time. So we had told them that the comp plan committee was in favor of doing a lot of the public engagement, which is the surveys,
Right.
tallying the survey results, doing the analysis of those surveys, even writing up a brief summary of synopsis of, where the results sort of landed, doing public hearings, roundtables, that sort of thing. So that'll help offset a lot of the costs for SCPDC if you guys kind of help manage that. And then they can do the nitty gritty like inventory, data analysis. We also talked about part of the inventory is looking into your natural resources. They'd asked about where the town was in terms of climate change, which I don't know exactly because I haven't heard a lot of feedback about climate change in Lyman. But I do know you guys had looked into aquifers and what types of natural resources exist and how that plays a role in your planning. So if you're putting commercial, industrial over here, understanding where your resources land so you can make overlays to continue to protect and preserve those resources. So that was another thing they were going to look into inventorying as well.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, I am actually still trying to track down. I have a call into it's the drinking water program, which is actually under the CDC. So I have a call in. I had to jingle the bell again to have them work with us, and they're going to be able to help us with like a potential water source for the town down the road and how that would work and how that comes about, and how you would plan that and things around it to keep it safe and keep it, something for the town.
Mhm.
So I do have a call in there to look into stuff like that. I think the biggest thing is the data. If no one has gone into the portal that was given to us when the data was done for the town, it's massive. It would take, I like to be a nerd, but I could for months be digging through that and never get through all of it. There's so much there. And then to analyze it.
I think that one of the big things too, that them talking about our natural resources, that data that we received, we have 6 ponds in Lyman and 5 of them were considered endangered. And that's one thing that is completely devoid in our comprehensive plan. There is nothing about natural resources and how to protect them. So something as simple as a zoning ordinance change could impact greatly how the zoning would change or lot sizes would change or whatever. And I think that's important. I'm glad they brought that up that way.
And then we also did mention too, so they did give us a timeline of about 12 months. So they are, they're dealing with supply and demand. So they have a lot of municipalities that are asking them to do these for them. And then they have staffing complications as well. So, 12 months was pretty much as reasonable as they could break it down into. I think that's why I wanted to start now with this fiscal year's budget, because if we wait and go, well, maybe we'll see if we get money next year, we're just pushing it out even further.
Right.
So, I'd like to get it, if they say they can do it in 12 months, that puts us to about, December, January, 25, 26. Which I know seems like a long time,
But it's not.
yeah, it's not.
Well, and then that puts us in line for like potentially a gubernatorial, like the general election for the state of Maine. So we still would be lined up to have, if that's when we plan on doing it.
Right.
It's a larger vote for the town come about.
Could I ask, is that money, will that money carry over if it's not spent?
It can, so it depends on, we can write the warrant article that way, but the voters get to decide if they want to roll that over.
Yeah, so, but can they efficiently, I mean, do you think they can, I don't want, I mean, what I'm trying to say is, if you tell me, if you tell them we got $13,000, they're gonna spend it. I mean, hopefully they can do it, we can get something out of that.
Right.
If we don't, the only problem would be if we don't get money for next year, we're sort of in
Well,
the lurch.
and that happens sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
It does.
it can die, just if that's what the voters' will is. We allocated the funds this year, so I mean,
Gotta
the
spend it if we can.
taxpayers are
But I
paying
think-
for it.
Yeah.
And I think they're gonna get the biggest piece, which is the inventory done. That's the biggest chunk that takes
It's hard.
the.
You mean with the 13,000?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
and I
So
mean,
they
that
got,
would be.
they got deliverable then.
Yes.
Right,
Will the
so,
future
I
map
mean,
be on that one as well?
No.
no, but, say you get that inventory done, or you get a big chunk done, and let's just hypothetically say it got voted down at town meeting, well, it might die there, but it doesn't mean it couldn't come back to life. And if it comes
Right.
back to life, well, you got this chunk done, so you don't have to start from the
wasting.
beginning.
Oh, and just to add to that, and I'm really weak in the budget department, so Lindsay will have to explain, but they were saying something about being able to take, like, maybe, there's other type of funding from the state, like,
So they will work on that on their part. I think
Okay.
they have some ties on, she mentioned something through transportation.
yeah, DOT
they-
giving money or something.
She mentioned another program too that sometimes they reach out to that they can get some money and that'll help offset it. So
Yeah.
they will put that in their memorandum of understanding if they can get something like that. But
No, that's fantastic. So it's, so at this point, I think as a committee for comp, I think that our biggest thing is to support, if everyone's in agreement of having Southern Maine planning moving forward, I think really our biggest thing that we have to do is really
push the
be in the
public
public's face about what comp is, what we're trying to do, and information, data, and constantly be out there, be doing flyers, be doing engagements.
And find out what the town wants.
Yeah, and get all feedback we can for the next year.
And then once that we have all that survey data and what the town wants, or what a lot of people want, we take that and add the demographic data to it, and that is our comp plan. And that creates the future land use.
Because Southern Maine Planning does a lot of work, but when it comes down to what's in the comp plan, it really is still the town's decision, because they'll say, you can do this or you can do this. They give you options. It's like, oh, this is what you're gonna do. They're not saying, this is it, this is your plan. They're giving options. They want to hear from the public. They want to hear from everyone in the town what their wants and needs are. So it is a matter of garnering and getting as much input from all residents, not just a little tiny 5 people that you hear from, but as many as we can, which we're going to require a lot of work. It's going to require going out there and having meetings, or saying we're going to be at coffee and donuts at the library on a Saturday morning, come meet us and talk to us or whatever. Just being available to answer the questions, or just listen to them and listen to their concerns, show them what we have so far. So we'll have some things that we will have from Southern Maine. We have some stuff now from the stuff they've given us, and just get the facts and the data out there. Which will then also help in turn ORC down the road, because then you have all the data you need to make decisions for the town and for ordinances to change.
Yeah, I think some of the inventory stuff they talked about, like the resources, for example, and like coming up with a future zoning map, they'll be able to look at it and say, this is what your zoning needs to look like to, meet this need or protect this resource or whatever it is.
And
Right.
then that drives your ordinances.
Yeah,
and
your zoning ordinances,
and
because
any
that's what they are.
ordinance, your land use charge, your everything.
And where they've done towns around us, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy to see how other towns around us have kind of laid things out as well, and what has worked and what hasn't worked, or how their residents have reacted to things as well. They have that experience.
I think obviously we gotta use Southern Maine, but it just seems sort of like a chicken and egg thing. It's like, asking people what they want before you got something to show them.
Right, I mean, we have some stuff to show them now. We still have the data that was
We still
compressed,
have
that if they want to sit and go through it, I mean, I'm willing to sit with anyone and say, can you show me something? I'll do my best to find it for you. I play with the portal a little bit. It's all there, but then to pull it into a package, I don't have the
You're taking the
wherewithal with a
wants.
helicopter view.
No, I know. I'm
Taking the wants and the
trying to
needs.
think.
And putting them together,
Yeah,
or that's what they do, and that's how they.
What do you, well, you're on the ordinance review committee. So what are you guys gonna do? Are you gonna,
That's what we're.
well, I
next
know, I
on
mean,
the
are you
agenda.
so,
are
so
you
my
gonna work on
thought,
the current
well,
zoning? or-
I think the hardest thing is, it is chicken and egg. According to our charter, comprehensive plan drives ORC,
Right,
so the comp plan has to be done first.
Title 30.
Yeah,
requires
Title
that.
30 requires that. So I think what it comes down to is like, I would love to see where ORC doesn't really, I don't think you guys have anything you can work on without comp plan being done. I would love to see ORC come alongside comp plan and the comp committee and help us get that information out there. You guys are alongside us getting the data from Southern Maine Planning as we're getting it. Help us educate the public and get the word out there about the comp plan and the wants and needs of the town, what people want.
I think we have a comp plan now
Yes.
that we can work from and improve what we have for zoning now.
Okay, so I-
Because we're talking 4+ years down the road for zoning changes.
I don't
That-
see that.
I don't
Well,
see
you
it.
can't go until 26 to get yours approved.
Nope,
No,
No,
comp
no,
plan
no.
can be
I thought you
approved
said this
whenever.
every 2 years.
No,
Or
not for
ordinance.
comprehensive.
not for
plan.
comprehensive. So,
Ordinance.
Okay.
yeah, ordinance.
Okay.
Ordinances.
So, but the thing is right now also the fact that if that might not be the comp plan for the town, it might be 2004. So then you're talking about
Well,
what's,
I mean,
but what happens if it is done,
well, I mean, yeah, but
you know?
look, I mean, we put the effort in, and the comprehensive plan that was in, I guess, 2019 was voted on by the town. And whether the state approved it or not, I mean, the state doesn't,
Right.
I mean, how can I say, I guess I'm on TV, okay. But I mean, the state obviously doesn't care, because if they cared, they would say
No.
something, right?
They would, and it's not,
And
you
it's
don't
been
have to
5
have a
years.
stamp.
Okay, so
You
let
don't
me,
have to have a stamp.
let me just say
From
something,
the
okay,
state.
economy, so have you looked at the comprehensive, have you looked at this in a while?
I don't think I've seen
Okay.
that one.
So I'm just
I
gonna,
do
I'm
have
just
a
gonna
copy.
read really quickly, this is what our comprehensive plan says, economy. To promote environmentally compatible economic development that broadens the town's tax base and job opportunities while preserving town's rural and village character. So then, strategies, investigate expansion and utilization of fiber optic high-speed internet access. Investigate installing through-phase power along major roads. And it's all these, like, who's responsible for all these things? It's still not giving a direction. You know what I
Can
mean,
ask
in the
our question,
overall,
have we done any of those? Do
Um,
we know?
We've done some.
I mean, like the 3-phase power, that's to me an
So
important one.
develop zoning
If you're
amendments.
gonna bring business into 111 corridor in
Right.
that area.
So develop zoning amendments to allow for small business that are not considered home businesses to operate outside the commercial zones. It's like, there's all these things that still, it's like, there's still so much missing to what has to be done to do that.
But it does have general statements, I think, that say things like, you know, make sure that the zoning is benefiting
But I
the
think that's,
town. or-
but
I mean,
people's
one of the
version
big
of
issues the
benefiting,
state is not having enough housing for people.
but someone's version of benefiting, I think, is different, because I think my concern is seeing what has happened in this town where half of a road is general purpose and the other half is
Right.
residential, and it bit someone in the butt, and why? Because we all know, and I'm saying this, everyone knows, people did things for their own benefit, and that is God's honest truth, and I'm not saying this to be mean, but that is what happened. I don't wanna see that happen again. I don't wanna see people penalized because a neighbor decided they want something to talk to their buddy on this and that and got this through. That's not the way it should go.
Well, wait a minute.
No, Don,
no,
maybe before
no.
your time, Don,
No.
Yeah,
just
Well, no,
saying.
I definitely, I had some questions on that when I looked at it, you know, like the certain zones that just stop. And I remember asking the question one time of code enforcement, you know, why did they stop there? I don't know, someone proposed that to be the spot.
That's been that way.
Yeah, that sort of in my mind said, huh?
So I think we can do better. We should do better.
I know,
I
but
just-
I guess I was looking more at the timeline.
Right, and I don't
The
think
years
that,
that it's gonna take to make changes and.
I don't want, I love ordinance review committee, I'm on that committee for 3 years now. I want our ordinance changed, but I want it done right.
I think we
And-
all do.
Doing it right requires, if we start right now and start changing zones and changing lot sizes, what does that look like?
How many zones do we have?
We have 3
Yeah, 3
technically, 3 commercial,
overlay.
which is mixed with residential,
And how many
general
is it
purpose
rental?
residential. Like 14 or something, but most importantly is this. If we're working on a zoning ordinance right now, let's just say, and I feel confident that our committee, we've been working together enough now, that I think the majority of us would like to see zoning changed, lot sizes changed, whatever. I feel that that's a pretty
I
good.
think in certain areas, I agree.
I think so.
I think it makes sense for town.
Okay, so let's just say we decide to look at that. And we stay together as a committee and we start looking at zoning and lot size change. So 2026 comes along, we're submitting changes to the voters that, first of all, we don't have the facts and the data to support, the current facts and data. And we're submitting a comprehensive plan beside it that isn't congruent to that. So if SMPDC comes in and says, here's your future land use map, this is the needs of the town, we think you should do this. And we're submitting a zoning ordinance at the same election that's saying, oh, we think it should look good here, or we think it should look good here. We're working against each other, and
I would
it's
agree.
fruitless.
I would agree. I would
So,
hope, though, we're not gonna let them tell us what we feel is the right sizes and lot sizes
No,
for our.
that's
town.
not their
no, that's not their
job, though.
job.
Well, I thought that's what you were just saying.
No.
No,
But
no.
it's still, that's where we're gonna talk to the town people and go and get information, get opinions and get thoughts and put it out there. Hey, if, this is how it is now, maybe there's 3 options that we just throw them out there to see where, get a feel of how people are feeling. And that's the biggest thing with every survey we're doing is getting a feel, just jumping into the pond right
Well,
now where
also-
everyone's at.
What Peggy's saying is, if we go to the voters in November 2026 with fully revised comp plan and a modified zoning ordinance and say they both pass, you're passing a zoning ordinance that now does not comply with your fully revised comp plan.
And we just worked for 2 years.
So it's
for
like-
So,
nothing.
and that's in 2026.
Right. And
So
it-
then if we work on the zoning after that, it can't go in front of the town until 2028. So we're
Correct,
talking 4 years from now before we make any zoning changes.
that's correct.
I mean,
I guess I
ORC
go back to why did we form this committee? And I'm confused.
I've asked that question for a very long time. And here I am, 3 years later, sitting in this seat saying, we should have formed this committee first. But we didn't. That wasn't how it
No, I was
was.
just asking. Again,
And-
I wasn't
I mean,
involved. I saw
honestly,
a volunteer
I think
option.
that this town has seen a lot of changes, including the passing of our charter with a new town manager. We've gone so far, we've done such great work and we're moving forward, we're progressing, I feel. But I remember being on charter committee and we were like, oh, comprehensive plan. Has anybody looked at that? What do we know about that? We really just were like,
There's a lot of.
oh, and now, 3 years later, I'm like, oh, I wish I'd done that in charter or said that, or we should have tweaked this or tweaked that. But it's supposed to go that way. Your charter, your comp plan, and then your zoning ordinances follow your comp plan. Now, we're not saying where this idea came that we are hiring SMPDC to write our town's policies. I'm not sure where that came from, but it's the furthest thing from the truth.
Correct.
And one of the things that Jamal that we're working with at SMPDC had said was that the town of York, they hired SMPDC and said, here you go, you do it, you do the whole thing. That's $250,000 for just their comp plan. That's not what we're doing here. They're coming in and they're saying, oh, we're gonna take all that data that the state provided you we're gonna smooth it all out, we're gonna make you a bunch of graphs and maps, and then we're gonna say, this is what we suggest. Y'all write your comp plan however you want it. You take your information from your town surveys and you put it with this data and you all decide.
Yeah, they're doing the nerd work,
Yeah.
like they're doing the
the exact
analyzing
work
and
that we're not
data
good at.
crunching and.
Right. And putting it into nice
Oh, no,
graphics
I
for
know,
us,
I
because
knew them
I don't have that
before.
kind of time.
Yeah, I
Right.
knew of them, I guess,
Right.
before we talked with them.
And to me, I'm not saying that's right for everybody. I'm saying to me, that's the right way. And that's what brought up the suggestion.
It's long as 4 years seems, and it is long, and I get that. It's also a matter of how winning the race isn't always the fastest one. You know what I mean? And I think that that's also something that comes to play, that slow and steady wins the race when it's done properly. And it lasts, the longevity of it and the benefits of it far outweigh the speedy version sometimes. And that's how I look at it. It's like there's so much to it when you look at it, and not dissing this plan here, but when you look at this compared to what some of the other stuff is there from other towns, and showing resources that can be conserved for later down the road. People are talking about, they want their kids to have A, B, and C. We don't have that. We have things that are said, hey, we'd like to do this. There's no plan how. There's nothing. And that's what we want in the end, is how to set it up so that things are protected for resources for the town, for children, for people into the future. It's not to turn this into a
And,
mecca.
we originally budgeted for ORC to also have money for SMPDC funds, and so that's kind of where we're taking that 13,000 from, is for all of it. It doesn't really make sense to spend, I don't know if you guys intend on working with, because that was the idea, ORC was gonna work with SMPDC as well in revising the whole ordinance, because they're really good at planning input. It doesn't really make sense to spend money on that if you're not ready to convert your ordinances because your comp plan isn't done.
One of
We
the other
pushed really
things-
hard to tighten up their timeline, and they're like, look, guys, we're struggling with staffing too.
Right.
And lots of municipalities are asking us, we're working with all these other towns, and, 12 months was the best they could give us. And at first, they were like, well, 2 years, and we pushed them hard to say, we're like, can you do it in 4 months? And they're like, no, you're psycho. So
Yeah.
they got us a
Yeah.
12-month timeline.
We went in there, we're like, wah, wah,
Yeah,
wah.
we went back and forth a lot, and I think they tried to meet us in the middle.
Yeah,
as best
they
as
really
could.
did.
So it
They really
did, it went from like 2-year timeline to 12-month timeline, and,
Can we go line them up for the next, so that there's not a waiting period?
For
Because after you
ordinance.
finish the comp, they're gonna work,
Yeah,
ORC.
Well, I think it's part of the
I think
budgeting
that's part
process
of
too,
the
that everyone
process.
Right,
like
but if
ORC's
they've
put
already
in, and
planned
Yeah.
to take on other business, again,
Right.
you may
Yeah.
be waiting 6 months or a year to
Right.
get their service. again.
Absolutely, I
So that's
agree.
something definitely
Yeah.
eyes forward, knowing that once comp is coming towards the end, that definitely making sure that, maybe a year, like even say, hey, in 2026, can you be kind of put you on reserve for ORC?
I did put in the budget request money for ORC. So in the event, let's say hypothetically, we finish comp in 2020, December 25 or something, whatever. Then, we're still in FY 26, so then the ORC could start working.
Yeah,
And so I did put in our budget, we haven't worked it out with the select board yet, but we're getting there. So that'll be something where I'll say, I'd like to have just a little pocket of money. If everything goes well, they can start. They have a starting point, and then the next year we'll get them some more money to keep going. Because revising the whole ordinance too and talking with SMPC, that's a process.
Yeah,
Not as
well,
much as, not as lengthy as comp plan, I think, but it's still in depth, and
But making sure things match up, and
absolutely.
like you guys
No,
don't have this in your
I
town,
think it's the right thing to do, it just seems
Right.
like a lot of time.
It does.
Especially when the state is pushing for more housing for people. And you're finding that people are not able to afford their homes in our area.
Yeah,
Because
it's
of the
horrible.
fact that the cost keeps going up. And they have all this land and they can't do anything.
Right.
They can't.
But like I said, I
I
think it's,
wanted to say one thing though, and I wish I had the projector thing up here, but I think this will help Eric. And just to understand. So our comprehensive plan, this is 10 pages long, right? Or 11, I think it is. This is Arundel's comprehensive plan. Who did just as we're doing.
Yep.
Hired SMPDC to come help. This is their future land use map. Notice it says proposed growth areas. So this is what we're trying to get to, because this will then,
drive us. I
We'll get
completely
there.
understand the process, it just,
and I understand it's gonna be a long
working
time,
in
but
business, it seems like it's so long, that's all.
Yeah.
It does.
It is a long
Survive
time.
in a business if you took
No
that
doubt.
long.
Well, like my
It's a
my
long
son's
time.
9, so my son's 9, so in 4 years, he's gonna be, I don't wanna say the teenage.
no,
Mm,
it's
Good
the
luck.
T word. So it is a long time, it is a
And
very
that's
long
if everything
time.
goes perfectly,
I
because
totally
if
agree.
not, then you may be looking at
100%.
2030
Oh,
to
no.
put it in front of.
No,
the
because
town.
that's where, as comp committee, we're asking if ORC wants to help us get it out there and do the public meetings. Because there are a lot, and I really do want to make sure that we're out there in front and having the town see and hear and know and do everything we're doing.
I think even at ORC, even just join the comp plan meetings, like as the comp plan committee is doing this, you're educating yourselves on everything that SMPDC is working on, so that when you get ready to do the ordinance, like you
Yeah.
know the
And the
statistics, the surveys, the data, and it'll really, get you guys on a good platform to start that work and like start with a good foot forward.
And just having all that knowledge, you can go to the voters who, when you're having your public hearings to change your ordinances or whatever, you have those facts and data to be able to say, well, we're not just picking this out of the air. We have the facts and data to support this zoning
Yeah.
change.
But you also now will know where people are coming from. You're gonna have a big idea of what people want in certain zones or certain areas, so it's going to be easier for a vote for the Lyman folks to know they've been heard, because you're gonna be hearing this for the next year. And that's our whole thing, is we want it down pat to reach as many people's, the age demographics, the different groups out there. You might only hear from a certain one, but we wanna hear from them all.
How do you reach it? Because that was the big
Very
issue.
hard.
I have a lot of nerdy stuff on my head, so.
Yeah. She's a total.
I just had a couple
Total
of
nerd.
comments. I'm not sure I'm gonna be alive long enough to see this thing finished. Most of my friends my age are dead, okay?
Have faith,
So,
Don.
but I'm
Have
just,
faith, Dawn,
but what we, a couple of things.
we get it burning.
The current charter has that magic word in there, general, under general election for changing ordinances. That word, you can talk to the various members of the charter commission. I'm not sure everybody understood that was going to be every 2 years. It was-
Dawn, let's not
Yeah, Don,
adjudicate
come
this.
on.
Okay.
I
No,
sat here in an ORC meeting and
that's-
you and Joe,
We've
like,
talked about this a
barked
thousand
at me.
times.
Okay, well, just let me finish.
You
I'm
know,
not,
it was done for a
this
reason.
is exactly
reason
what I
was
said,
so
and
that-
you
so that
told me, no, you're
Ordinance
wrong.
don't get jammed down somebody's
no,
throat.
all I'm saying is, if I could finish before you guys jump all over me again, is that, that word could be removed and it, ordinance changes right now as written in the charter are every 2 years,
Hey,
right? We all agree on that?
What you could do is you could do a citizen's petition.
No, I'm not, look, let me finish. If you let me finish, for God's sakes. All I'm trying to say is, that word, if it were removed, it would still go to a general election, but it wouldn't have to be, we wouldn't have to wait 2 years to change an ordinance. Now, maybe if people don't want to do that, fine. I'm just saying that's a possibility. The second thing I wanted to say before anybody else says anything else was that there are errors in the current ordinance. Okay, and that's what the town has to go by. The current zoning ordinance has errors in it. There are some errors in there that might be able to be fixed without, go, because that's what we have to go by, the current zoning ordinance. And that might be a possible productive use of time. If maybe there's nothing in there that's significant that needs to be changed for now, okay? But it sounds like we're talking almost 4 years for getting the ordinance changed.
Don,
And that's a long
rally the
time.
troops, man.
What's that?
Rally the troops and get that citizen's petition and make that change.
No, I'm not gonna do that. I've tried that. Please, remember, I'm an elderly person. And my heart's just beating. By the way, I watched a movie the other night called Otto.
Oh, yeah,
The
that's
only
such a good
problem with
movie.
Otto was it looked similar. So I said, oh my God, it turned in, I mean, maybe he based it on my life, I don't know, but anyway.
The book's way better, by the way.
But I'm listening, I like Tom Hanks. And that got me off track. I'm just saying that, you know, if there's changes that could be made to make the current ordinance even more correct, that's a possibility of time
But
used.
I think that's still difficult because you don't know where it's all gonna land until the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
just, you know.
It might
wasn't
completely,
talking-
go away.
I wasn't talking about changing, I'm just saying there are errors in there. If you read the ordinance as written, there's errors in there that could be corrected, that might be at least useful, maybe it's a waste of time. But there's a possibility that, you know, that also, I don't know how, you know, you started to go through the ordinance before. I don't know if I don't think you all got all the way through. I stopped going to those meetings after a while. But I don't know whether you got all the way through the ordinance or not. You did. So maybe that's a waste of time. But if there's some errors in there, those could be touched up.
Well, so
Possibility.
what I would be curious, you know, before I, myself personally, like,
Right.
before I dive into something is, you know, let's look at the history, right? We've had this ordinance for a while. So, you know, in the last 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, what was an example where one of those errors caused a detriment to the planning board, the code officer, an applicant? Like if we can get some data on the detriment those errors caused, then I would totally support like this
Legal.
work that needs to be done, right?
Yeah.
We've been put in legal, weird
Yeah.
situations because we can prove this error
Exactly.
made such an issue.
Well, I don't think it was necessarily an error. It's just that some of the zoning ordinances I remember, I haven't been looking at it every day, I'm sorry to tell you. But it just was hard, the interpretation of some of them. For example, and not just that, but in the roads what's the correct
The
terminology?
street
Streets
design
and roads.
criteria.
There's, you know, the ordinance review, I mean, the planning board never looked at that until we had a case where it required looking at it, and it looked a little bit flaky. It could have, you know, it could be touched up and things. So there's other possibilities, and I'm not against waiting for all this, but it's just that, God, it just seems like an awful long time. And the other thing is, of course, we know aren't going to get any help out of the state. I assume that's a correct thought on my part. Because the state, but as a state, are they coming to come back down on us and say,
Well,
hey,
No,
you're out of compliance?
oh God, no. No, they will not do that. It's basically the way, like, when Peggy and I talked about the LD 2003 stuff, you know, they're pretty clear on, like, we're not gonna come marching down and, like, arrest you all. It's, what it is if you're not compliant, you're just, you know,
Yeah.
someone might come in and be able to argue a case against the town,
Yeah?
you know, but it's a matter of if and when. So, you know, it's like,
You don't want to tempt fate, which is why you want to get it done.
yeah.
But it's that type of thing. You know, but again, right now, we're only seeing 2004 in the state's records too. which is-
Well, the only other thought I was, I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing surveys. I think they're a good idea. But, you know, the surveys, they'll be helpful, but it's, you know, it's still, there's all this time. So you do a survey now.
Well, no, the surveys we need for a comprehensive plan.
Yes,
So, but doing it now will still be helpful because we're gonna be moving forward.
You're still gonna get a flavor, and again, the longer we do it, the more we're actually gonna collect, because usually we do a survey in town, we get, I don't know if have we ever broken
Anywhere
200?
from 30 to 130.
Yeah, we've never even broken 200.
so percentage wise is what?
10% of the town, not even.
Well, you're at,
5%?
we have 42, we're over 4,200 voters.
Right.
Oh my
And the
God.
census says we're about 4,500 residents,
So we get how many surveys back?
100.
like 100.
So that's like
That's what I mean. How can we get?
percentage.
Right, that's what they're
We're
working
all
on.
sitting here worried about doing things without the town people knowing yet. They don't wanna know, because as you can see, they're
Well,
not.
They
But
do,
they're trying to
they
say that
do.
we have
There's so
to.
many ways for them to find out,
Right.
and yet they're not
They
finding
do, so
it.
that's where we have to be in the bonnet and be in their face, and to the point that we're probably annoying. I wanna show up, it's like, if you're having coffee, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna tell you about comprehensive plan.
That's
I
why
mean,
you
I wanna
guys
be
are
the
gonna-
cheerleader of it,
You guys are gonna work on multiple surveys and
in meetings, in going to
round
functions.
tables.
200
hearings.
people's input every time.
That's true,
That's
but
true.
what's the alternative?
So-
Our charter requires us to do it, so we can only
You
do
know-
what we can do, and it has to fall back on them. It's not a matter of us not trying. Ordinance Review Committee we had flyers in that.
No, I
that best to
understand,
go
I'm
out
just
there
saying
for
how
April,
do-
since
there's
April.
So
gotta
I'll
be
go
a
sit at the
better way
transfer
to
station.
communicate with
You
the
get
town
tons of people at transfer station. I got so many people that I got to have conversations with there. I'll go to the concerts in the park. A lot of people show to those. I will sit my butt there at every concert in the park.
Mhm.
I will go to the library on the weekends and see if there's anyone I haven't talked to about comprehensive plan. And hey, do you have any friends you can hand this to? I will do whatever it takes to get
Here's
this
a
out there.
thought to that issue, right? A lot of towns see that issue.
Right.
And
Oh,
so they're
sure.
starting to,
Right.
a lot of bigger towns are hiring, communications specialists, people who are very familiar on PR and communications, for public engagement purposes. Obviously, we're not there yet. But it's those types of positions understand very well, like demographics, for an example being like Facebook, right, hits your generally 40s to 60s. Instagram hits your 20s to 30s. We don't have an Instagram account. So if we're, we want more engagement, these guys are gonna try to like push it and push it and push it. And we're trying to look for those creative ways of how do we hit more demographics. So, we could
Yep.
set up an Instagram account. That's one way, try to get the 20s and 30s into it. Doing videos, everybody's watching reels on their phones and flipping through the reels. So you do a lot of municipalities are doing short videos on how to fill out a building permit, how to put your trash in the transfer station, because people don't want to read a giant book, but they'll watch a 14-second long video.
Right, which is
So
what I
when
want to do.
We're trying to find ways to like feed those little bits of information so that people can get it, and hopefully we get more engagement. Now, if we don't get the engagement, we're going for, well, then we can't say we didn't do our due diligence.
And I know I'm putting more work on people, so please just take it as a thought, brainstorm.
Yeah.
How about when people come to register their vehicles? Can we hand them a survey?
Yes, well, that's what I want to do, is I actually want to have packets.
Have someone go, the town's doing a survey, we really need your input.
Right.
We're doing that right now with the AERT age friendly one. Yeah, we did that with the Citizens Guide, right? We put it out as Citizens Guide for the municipal referenda, and any person, we had a huge voter turnout, it was 75%. We had about over 3,000 voters. We had probably an increase of like 200 or so voters. So it was like a 75% turnout. And, we were handing out the guides, we had the QR codes. I think, like I said, people don't want to read a giant book. So we're, it's like you got to give it to them in little snippets and bite-sized pieces.
But that's where if you have a committee, and like I said, right now Kim couldn't make it tonight and Dave, but we all work and we all have lives, but like have someone voting outside at a table with information on comp plan.
The
things
round
like-
tables, you
a
guys
round
talked
tables
about doing
constantly.
like, bagels or something on a
Yeah.
Saturday morning and doing a round table, and you do multitude of those over and
Funky
over and
Bowl
over
Pizza
again.
Night, I'll meet you there,
Right.
anything like that where you can get the information out there. And I think, or Historical Society, they have lots of functions, people attend those. The fire department has their things, and it's amazing the turnouts they get. Have a table there, say, hey, can we come and do these things? These are all things that are in, it's all networking, but it can't be just me in going out and doing, like, and I'm not saying me doing all, but it's like, it can't be the same people over and over, because we do have lives, we do have husbands and kids and grandkids. So the more the merrier, in the sense that if you're willing to educate the public and go out with some flyers, some surveys in hand, and hey, can you come take 2 hours at this? Or the public library has a yard sale, can you come and sit a few hours at the shift and see if you can get some information out there? It's networking together as a committee with Comp and ORC to say, hey, let's educate everyone. Let's be out there and be cheerleaders for, hey, what do you want in this town? We can't stay status quo.
Yep.
So that's basically kind of where we're at. Like, we have survey number 2 that we planned here to go out, and it is one of those things that I want to have all the surveys together in a packet as we go. So if someone hasn't taken one survey, they can take them all if they want. So it's not limiting. Oh, we're on survey 3. Sorry, you missed 1 and 2.
If I may,
Yes.
I hear Eric's frustration, and I know he's not the only one that's frustrated with the pace of things or how it has to happen. But I think if we exhaust what you're talking about and the way to get to the place we need to get to, if only 100 people want to educate themselves, then we did all that we can do.
Yep.
And we can look in the mirror and say, you know what? This wasn't jammed down anybody's throat, and that's what this is all about.
Yep.
It's not, there's something wrong with the road design. No kidding.
Yeah.
That's a poor example, but
Yeah.
no kidding.
Yeah, no, you're right, Dave.
So it's just, we have to bring people, as many people as we can, to educate them prior to any of these major changes. That's all I got to say.
No, you're 100% right, Dave. I mean, I wish it wasn't gonna be as long as they're saying, and,
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
and
for sure.
I know there's so many people desperate for a change in some of the zoning and some of the things, and I get that, and I
If I felt for 1 minute that we could skip over this process and go right to ordinance review, I absolutely do it, because I believe implicitly that our zoning ordinance has to change.
Yeah.
Lot sizes have to be looked at
the types of
least
zones we have, needs to be-
assessed, what people want, what people need. I believe that implicitly. It's why I started it, because just as you said, I see people every day that need these changes, that want these changes, and that's what made me come to that committee. But once I got in it, I realized, oh boy, this is way more than just saying, okay, maybe we can change it down. You know, the example that I used with Lindsay and Michelle here, one of the things in our ordinance says something, and I'm just kind of paraphrasing, of course, but in residential zoning, you can have like 3 cows.
Oh, you mean in the animal portion of it?
Yeah.
And if
You
you
don't like
have
that, you don't like the animal units?
2 animal units for the next, and every acre after, or whatever, you know, I mean, and, you know, so, but you can have as many cows as you want if you're in 5 acres. So let's just look at Clark's Woods Road. 1/2 is residential, 1/2 is general purpose. He can have more cows than he can have. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So we say, okay, I'll use the Clark's Woods Road example. Let's go down to 2.5 acre zoning on Clark's Woods Road, and I'm only using that because that's where I live. What does that do to the land use chart? So now, if we go down to 2.5 acres in that area, we're less than residential at 3 acres. 2.5. What do you do with your land use chart? The whole land use chart has to change. So it's kind of like the trickle down effect. It's not as simple as saying, okay, let's just change 5 acres to 2.5 acres in this area or that area. Because it trickles down into your land use chart. You have to come up with a new land use chart. It's a big deal.
That's
So,
a big deal.
and if you had someone that bought land, they,
Actually, has to do something like this, but it's gonna go through a very painful 4 to 6
Yes.
years.
it
Because
is,
nothing's gonna happen in this town for 4 to 6
I
years,
agree.
like other towns are moving forward.
I agree.
That's, I think, the concern, or the way I see it is taking so long
Yeah.
to make changes.
Agreed.
It just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. I know there's a reason. I just in this conversation, I figured the reason out. I didn't know there was a reason why it had to be every 2 years. I do understand that there, in the past, there may have been some things that happened that
Yeah.
are sort of requiring that. But it's just such a slow
It is
process to
100%.
try to
it is.
help the town improve itself.
Mm-hmm.
And to
Well-
me, restricting your town because of some bad actors in the past, you shouldn't do that.
So-
Because what you're doing is you're hurting your town now by doing that.
maybe that can change again though. You know what I mean? If
I
it's,
think Don's gonna do
You
a
know?
petition there. No,
I'm
I'm just kidding, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I tried 3 times to get one word out of, what do you call it, the zoning,
Contract zoning, yeah.
yeah,
the
contract zoning.
contract zoning, 3 times, it didn't happen, so don't,
We wiped it all out for you anyway, so there you
No, I
go.
think that, I think all of us can do
I'm
is
not sure that was good though.
give it the best go we can to get everyone educated the best we can. And again, if we only get 5, if we get 105 people into the survey instead of 100, we still did our absolute best at that point. And
Yeah,
hopefully
I
they
understand.
heard, but when they get to the booth and say, I didn't know about this, you could be like, really? We were basically everywhere. And that's what I want to be able to say. We were at concerts in the park, we were at the library, we were at roundtables, we were at meetings, we, make an announcement every time there's a select board meeting, flyers in the reporter, anything, just making sure everyone is where it's happening. We want to hear from you. We want to know what you want, what you think, what you care about, And right now, I think that's not happened.
Michelle,
Yes, sir.
if I may, would there be, are you looking to pause, I'm sorry, Peg, are you looking to pause the ORC?
Yes.
So would it be a pause or would it be a complete,
Well, I think it's semantics because even if we do,
well, here's my point. Here's my point. If the ORC stayed together as a group
Mhm.
and helped with the comprehensive plan,
Mhm.
and as we went along, we found that there are things, and maybe Dawn has a suggestion somewhere that would apply. Sorry, Dawn, I had to
They have more than one.
that we could actually work with the ORC to get that done. That wouldn't affect the comprehensive plan. I'm sure there are things in there that are just common sense things that need to be changed. That's all I'm saying. If we didn't just eliminate the ORC comes under, whatever a subcommittee of the comprehensive plan. Maybe I'm making it too difficult, but that way everybody stays together. There's 8, 9, 10 people working on the comprehensive plan. Something can be done with an ORC. You're still there. You still have the vote. You can still put it on a ballot come 2026. That's just a thought.
If that's what they want to do, if they want to keep that committee, I would resign from ordinance review committee just because I don't want to do both. I feel like one is going to overlap the other. I feel like something like the street ordinance, like
He's not really saying do both, but he's saying if you keep the committee in place, if something comes up,
well, yeah,
why we're working on the comprehensive plan, you can make that needed change.
Right.
And still have a committee together to put it in front of the town to make sure it moves forward, that's all.
yeah, I don't think that whether we dissolve it or it keeps going, it's just kind of hanging out there, whatever. It's really just, to me, it's fine if it remains together. But I don't see anything fruitful coming of that before our comprehensive plan is finished. Whether it's something as simple as renumbering, because even a renumbering, let's say, I think the renumbering is gonna change from the comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
So, it's those little things, but as far as keeping the committee together, we don't have to do anything official to
Right.
dissolve the committee,
No.
it just kind of sits there.
You'd be pausing, basically.
Yeah, it would just be
You
pausing.
could be like, meet once a quarter to say,
I
hey.
don't even care if we meet.
Yeah.
I thought his suggestion was just have it as a subcommittee of your committee,
I think that's
so that
a
if
great
anything
idea.
did come up,
Right.
like came up with the,
Absolutely,
flood.
yes,
If we don't have a
Yeah.
committee, we can't pass that and put it in front of the people. So
absolutely,
now
I
you have
totally
to sort
agree.
of reform the committee.
So you're paused, but if something came up, you can meet and you're still
Just part of
all
the-
like mind.
We may be working on something and say, ooh, we can
Absolutely.
actually fix that in the ORC right now.
Yep.
Don't have to vote on it, but get it all
Yep.
done,
Yep,
because
Absolutely.
it sort of matches, I don't know.
I think that's manageable. And another thing to consider too is we did pass the municipal referenda in November. We passed a lot of those changes, but I think a lot just from working in the elections, and Peg and Michelle have worked in the elections as well. We got a lot of feedback that people were very confused. And so even though they didn't pass by a landslide, and a lot of people were frustrated with the amount of information, the amount of different, the different questions. They were so frustrated with it. So I feel like it's almost better to just be here's your new thing,
Absolutely.
yes or no. Because if you throw 9, 10, change, we're gonna change section 2, we're gonna change section 3.1, and then 3.4, it was very confusing to the voters, and that was part of their frustration. And so just kind of keep in mind in that too. People have to go and vote on this stuff, and it's not easy to do.
Right. And it was funny that a lot of people I heard comments said, I didn't know what it meant, so I just voted no. And it like broke my heart because I'm like, oh, you have no idea how hard these
Yeah.
committees work.
I know.
And it's
I
like,
heard the opposite from some people. I
Yeah.
voted yes, because I figured if the town really felt this was necessary, I wasn't gonna
Yeah,
stop.
that's a mindset thing too. And it's
yeah,
kind
it
of
is
this
so
funky
funny.
thing where,
I heard more
yeah.
people saying, I voted no because I don't know what's trying to sneak through. I'm like, oh my gosh, they work so
yeah,
hard watching
yeah,
the
it's one or
meetings.
the other for
There
sure.
was also-
Now you're part of the enemy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful ballot clerk, which was fun, actually.
Yes, Don.
There were a lot of people that just blanked. They voted blank on that because they didn't know what it was. And,
Yeah.
you can't tell them anything when they're putting their thing in, but it's too late.
Right, and
No,
it's, I don't know if we had said this to you on charter, but, on ordinance review, but charter committee had, when we were going through that, there was a lot of topics that we felt should be split out because they would be hot button topics maybe. And we were like, okay, well, we'll submit this, but we're gonna keep this article kind of out, if you will. And ultimately, the lawyers said, no, you need to submit the whole document. Do you want the old one
Wow.
or do you want the new one?
That was his opinion.
It was his opinion, but ultimately the
It was
committee
the
voted.
No, I know. I was there.
That's-
No, but I was on
Yeah,
the previous
right.
one too.
Yep,
Right.
yep,
So, you
Absolutely.
can't, and the issue on that one was town manager, no town manager.
yep.
Right.
So that was split out as a separate thing, as I remember, for that long.
That was the best
was.
move this town ever did.
The best.
Best town this moved.
Anyway,
Best
well,
move.
look at this committee trying to do a job of townspeople. That's basically what we had running the town, right?
Right.
Not that it was bad, but
Right.
again, that wasn't their profession, that wasn't their
Well,
livelihood.
they have full-time jobs, it's very difficult.
That's what I
And
mean.
the town is a business and it
Can we
is.
move this along quick? I'm
Yeah.
I'm gonna be.
So,
I'm patting myself on the back here, but let's stop doing that. What are we gonna do here now?
So,
Let's get down.
It's, I mean, I think it comes down to, is the comprehensive plan all on board with going forward with Southern Maine Planning, 13,000 this year, they're gonna start rolling down the road. Budget is gonna go into for the remainder of what the monies are needed, and that'll have to go to the voters. And, that we're just gonna cheerlead the heck out of the comprehensive plan and surveys and data till we can survey and data no more.
I mean, yes.
Can,
Yes. Fuzzy?
Yes,
has any, did I lose you or did,
We
No, I
can,
hear you.
We can hear you.
yeah, okay. Yeah. Did anybody think about a mass mailing of your survey and maybe looking at the paper copies after?
the cost for mailers is actually quite astronomical, and if we were to do one for every survey that we do, it would cost thousands and thousands of dollars. So it's really doesn't,
You're already spending $40,000, what's a few more?
well, if
it's
we,
not in the budget.
It's
That's
not on the
what's
budget.
two more.
right, so, it's like to save $2,000 for a survey to go out, I don't think it's gonna cover any more, because people usually throw that stuff
Yeah.
away. We've done, I think it's just, take it thinking on the reporter, more people read the reporter than read their mail.
Trying to educate the people in town without mailing out to them, it's gonna be like trying to herd a bunch
Well,
of cats.
And it's not to say, like, it's just not been budgeted for. So, I mean, if something like a committee wanted to do that, they can definitely plan and budget for that and say, we looked into it, we want to put aside X amount of dollars to do an every door direct mailing. But I don't have it in the budget to do it this
Right.
year. And then, and like I said earlier, you have different demographics across different platforms of media.
Right.
Yep.
So your younger folks I never check my mail.
Yeah.
Some people are diehards and some people aren't. So, and some people rely on the newspaper, some people rely on
Yeah.
Comedy Central or
I
Facebook or whatever.
Go to the mailbox.
To me, you're a younger person, no offense.
Yeah, they're honestly.
So, but see,
they
there,
never
but see,
get
there may
something
come a time that we
out.
can
I don't look
consider,
at mine either.
you know, doing a mailer, but at the moment with
Right.
these small surveys that we're sending out, they're just like the jumping off point. You know, and they're small, like our first survey was 10 questions. That would have just cost way too much money for 10 questions.
Maybe in next year's budget, just a mailer to the town, letting them know the work that's taking place.
Yep.
How to get, because I think that getting onto the website,
Yeah.
getting onto the mailing list, so when things happen, all those things, because those are ways where like the mailing list, you can say, oh, we got a town survey.
We do a mailer for our first tax bills that go out.
Yeah.
It would not support if you did like a 3-page or
No.
4 or 5-page survey.
Not
That'd be
even a
way too
survey, just a general notice to the town over
Yeah,
the next
have you
few
guys-
years. We're gonna be working on a lot of these items, and we're gonna need your input. Please be aware, here's some ways you can connect with the town.
Yeah.
We
Right.
need you to do that. I mean, again,
And
to me,
yeah.
100 is great, but, and we know on
Yeah.
most surveys, even in business, you
Yeah.
know, when we did surveys, we got a small amount of the
Right.
membership that would reply back.
Right.
And that's what you had to base your facts on and your strategic plan, things
Right.
like that, but.
well, we could collect a list of people that want them mailed to them. You
That's
know
what I
I
was
mean?
just
And
gonna
so
say,
that we
Jeff.
could actually say, you know, in the
We'll
tax
gladly
bill
mail it
saying,
to you.
if you would like surveys mailed to you physically, please, you know, call the town hall.
Email us,
Or
whatever.
email the town hall
Maybe a
and
few
let them
people
know.
that would want a
You're not
mail
getting-
survey.
Well, yeah,
I think most, if you gave them, I think sort of like with what happened, they just, no one ever, I think, like if you knocked on their door and say, here, you know, let me help you set this up.
Right.
Now you'll always be informed. That's great. And if you could do that for everybody, that'd be wonderful, but we can't.
Right.
And I think that's the big issue is how do we get there? And I think some of the things you mentioned were great. I would have no problem standing out at the transfer station with a little thing, maybe with a QR code on
Yeah.
it and little
Pamphlets.
instructions and say, here's the survey, it's online. And if someone says, oh, I don't use a computer, oh, here's one, I got a paper one.
Yep.
Would you mind dropping that off? Or if I'm here next time, just hand it to me and
Yeah,
I'll bring it in.
drop
you
it
know?
in the mailbox, the slot box at the town hall, but I
Yeah,
mean, it's
either.
just thinking outside the box, and I think it's stuff that hasn't been thought about for all these years, is thinking outside the box to reach people. I mean, I've never seen anyone I've gone to transfer stations a ton, but I've never seen like people at concerts in the park trying to get people to, or like at the voting, you have people who collect the signatures, and it was great this year with, survey that Karen and Joe were doing, the library was there giving out information. That's a great place to get people coming through, or like our town meetings and having someone there that's representing the comprehensive committee saying, hey, don't forget about comp. These are ways to engage, and how can I help you engage? Can I get you signed up on the town email? What works for you best? What grabs your attention? Even finding out that from people. How do you like to participate? Do you like to talk? Do you want
Text.
newsletter,
Text, you want
text?
right.
It's
Absolutely.
asking
You know,
those
there's
silly
an
questions too.
There was an event, what was the event that the three of us were over there with the?
Oh, so I mean,
But the library did what?
Oh, the yard sale thing.
The yard
The yard
sale?
sale. That, I attended that event with them, just for like a community, here we are kind of thing, you know. You would be shocked how many people at that event were like, Bugging Park. They were moths to a flame on the Bugging Park table with Michelle. And like, yeah, we'll put money there, and everybody wanted to know what's going on, and da. Those community events are so important to have us out there as a committee saying, yeah, here we are, you know, can you do this?
Answering
Can you-"
questions, yeah.
and we're coming
Absolutely.
into a quiet period, holidays.
Holidays.
And there's not much going on until you get towards Easter, but you know, there's the big Easter egg hunt at that Parks and Rec does at the Lyman Elementary School. Why not go there? And because you're getting that demographic of those young parents that are raising their kids here. It's prime opportunity to say, hey, well, you're here, grab a flyer. We're doing surveys about Compo, about the growth of the town. We'd like your input. Here's a QR code. They're going to be your QR code people. So they're going to grab that on the way by, and while they're waiting in line to drop their kid off, they're going to be answering your surveys. You know, and that's where, you know, I think I had a business too, and I had to market. So that's where I think I had to always think outside the box, how am I gonna reach someone that normally is not in my age bracket? And it is, it's huddling together, hey, can we do this? So first and foremost, Dawn, so everyone, we got to the point that, is everyone on the comprehensive plan in agreement to go forward with survey and planning and request the funding to hopefully get approved to finish it off?
Yes.
Yes, that's the only choice I see.
Dave? Did I lose Dave?
He muted
It's on
himself.
Oh, sorry, yes.
Okay, Peg, you're good?
Yes.
All right, so that's a unanimous vote from COMP to go forward with survey and planning. Lindsay, thank you so much for taking care of that. And I'll leave it to Peg what's gonna happen with ORC at your, I don't know if you're gonna have a meeting.
I
soon.
guess we're just gonna put it on the burner and we'll just leave it on the burner. We'll leave it formed if we need to. I'm hopeful that the other committee members on ordinance review committee will come help us or attend meetings or
So I guess
do
that
whatever it takes.
anyone on ORC that wants to participate with COMP, let me know. I'll make sure you're getting the agendas when they're being sent out. I can include you on the list. If you want to be part of the cheerleader to get in the word out,
I will be. but
I
won't be
love it.
Probably for another month.
well, this is surveys going out and we're pausing surveys for
Yeah.
the holidays.
Yeah,
'cause-
January we'll start.
I want
putting it
help,
on.
I just.
Yeah.
I don't know, just some, in my line.
You ready to talk about
last job, I could never, that timeline could never work. I give up.
Are you ready to talk about this?
But I
We
think
are. So was there any other nits?
Yes.
John, no.
No, I made this comment last time, which I'm sure
Did
you,
I miss it?
I think so. No, it just, I think you made a lot of changes that we suggested.
Yes.
But the only thing, when you go down here, it says, like for the second question, in the future, how important is it for you to have the following available to you? And you have very important, blah, 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 blah. You got 5 choices, I think, 1, 2.
Oh, those all have to get changed because they won't work in SurveyMonkey the way they are.
Okay, but you're gonna have to, my suggestion was just to say A, B, C, A. So if you were marking the survey, you could mark A by 1 or B by, something. You can't, the way it is now, you can't really use this survey.
So you
You
could
see
be
what I'm
like, A received 30% response. B
No, I meant like, for example, if it was some very important, say that was A. Okay, so you put an A by that, or maybe there was a block, a little circle.
They're supposed to be there. I couldn't do the formatting on this.
Oh, okay.
Don't
So,
worry.
so anyway, so it's gonna be so that it's user friendly, the way it is now.
It's not user friendly.
Oh,
It wasn't meant to be.
That's my
This
point.
won't be what the survey
Correct.
looks like in
Oh.
SurveyMonkey.
This was just to have the questions
Oh,
there.
okay, fine.
And if
That's-
everyone was
Yeah,
okay with what the
survey,
questions
maybe
are,
all the graphs.
yeah, it's sort of, MailChimp is a
You wanna
little
take a quick-
different than,
Want
Yeah,
to take a
sorry,
quick look
Mailchimp.
through?
MailChimp's a little different, so I couldn't use this format. This was just grabbing a format from another town
Yeah.
and getting the questions in here and
No, I'm
the responses we're looking for. They're gonna be manipulated a little bit so that way they fit into MailChimp. But this is just if everyone was agreement with the questions that we're asking and kind of the responses we're looking for.
I kind of have a beef with number 4.
Which is-
What is your opinion about the rate of growth over the past 10 years? I'm not sure how you're wanting people to answer this. So,
Yeah.
the residential multifamily ADU commercial, blah, 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 that should not be there in my opinion.
Okay.
Are we just asking them the question about, what's your opinion about the rate of growth? Then it should be not fast enough.
We can do that, we can do that, because this was just, again, I copied and pasted from another town
Oh,
survey
right.
that was done.
So
to give us
just
something to
X
go on.
out all
So
of
X out
the
these, gotcha.
residential,
That?
yeah.
Okay,
So, I'm sorry, what do you think now?
this here.
This part right here.
So
The whole
because
thing or
it's
just-
Kinda-
Dave,
No,
I don't,
what
you
is your
probably don't
opinion
have
of
it
the rate of
with
growth?
you,
It
but
should
it's,
be
what is your
from
opinion
fast.
about the
Okay,
rate of
gotcha.
growth over the past
Bye,
10
Eric,
years?
thanks for coming.
Bye,
I
good
got- I
night.
understand your point.
We're
What
gonna
is my
get,
opinion about the rate of growth?
so we're
Yeah.
gonna get rid
Of a
of,
question?
we're getting rid of some of the stuff listed, so we're making it more simple for an answer, that's all
Can
we're
I
doing.
just offer some, the way
Well,
I
I
read that
think it's kind of
is,
vague.
okay,
I think the data is gonna answer the question.
so the
I
way I read,
mean, what a person thinks about growth, does it really matter if it's going against the data?
the way I read it is, it's the rate of growth of residential,
Right.
of multifamily, of ADUs. So it's like,
That's fine.
The question
That's
might
what
be reworded a little
Right.
bit, because it's like, when you say, what is growth? Growth of what? You know?
Right.
Commercial
Which is why they're so
businesses,
important.
you know,
But
gravel pits, like.
But I think that that's way too, like, way over their
So
head.
maybe
Like,
that question comes
especially
out
with-
completely for now until down the road.
Well, I don't think that it's a bad question. I just think it's a bad question with those in there, because again, a lot of people, we're not even to the point where some people even know what zone they're in.
True.
Well, I just-
Last time, people didn't know what zone they were
I
in.
wonder if you just reword the question, like the rate of growth in these, I don't know what you would call it.
General purpose.
In these
And then-
areas, right? And it's not
And the areas of,
the
and then
areas
list them.
of, you know, commercial businesses, industrial, you know,
Residential.
residential, multifamily. So they can input on like, you know, I think there's just too many businesses. We're turning into like, you know, an industrial business place or whatever. But
Okay, yeah, no, we'll
That's
reword
my
that a little
opinion.
bit.
We'll
but
rework it,
please,
yeah.
As a
Reword
committee,
it.
like.
Yeah, no, because
however
we
you
can do, we can reword things a little bit and we can always get a,
I think for this, the purpose of this survey, we should make it that simple. And then maybe perhaps in the next survey, kind of drill down a little bit
Mhm.
on what do you think about the rate of growth in the general purpose zone? What do you think about the rate of growth in the residential zone? And break it out that way so that it's not, it's a little more general this time, and then the next survey, we can kind of drill down on it. Perhaps even, you know, have questions for residential zone people and have questions for,
What if you did like a rate of growth question, right? Is it like, you know, too fast, too slow, steady? And then maybe there could be an other with a written text.
yeah, I like
And then
that.
from that written text, like you may get some,
You might
Yeah.
get some
you
ideas.
get some
Yeah.
responses on the spectrum.
Yeah.
But, you know, then you can go, oh, I see where some of those responses are, and then start plugging
Yep.
those in.
Yeah,
Yep.
I like that.
I like that too.
Any other nits? Tom?
No, I'm just, so we have what, a total of 11 questions, I think?
I think so. Again, we're still keeping them small. I think that, you know, again, at the first kind of maybe roundtable or the donut and coffee type of thing, we can have all the surveys there. Is there a way, Lindsay, and there probably isn't, once a survey is done, can they be taken later on down the road? Are they still available?
Yeah, I can leave them up
So,
indefinitely.
yeah, if I could have like a place with the links to all the surveys that I can always send, like email out or
I'll
whatever.
probably, because you guys have a comprehensive plan committee page, I can maybe beef up that page a little bit and just. have
Survey
like a little-
1, survey 2.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be great if we could just keep all the surveys going.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be, I think, the way. Now, the other, I guess, dumb question is, when people take the survey, does it track who took it? In a
if you're
sense.
subscribed to MailChimp, it'll show me like the email address associated with it. If you clicked on it, say if I posted it on Facebook, it's gonna come up as unknown.
Okay,
And we do get repeat, even sometimes our subscribers will repeat surveys, you know, once or twice. Which could be for a variety of reasons, sometimes like, you know, spouses share an email.
Yep.
Yeah, so there kind of is and there kind of isn't,
okay.
to answer that question.
Not to be a total pain, but do people know that?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm just saying from the MailChimp, is that an issue if I were on, I'm not sure if I did the survey, anyway, but so let's say I did the survey, do I need to know that you know who I am or not on the survey?
Oh, when I basically like, because when I pull the data, I just take out that information.
Yep.
So that people's personal emails aren't on the surveys.
Lindsay would be the only one that knows.
You would just see their response and like no name associated with it.
Because otherwise, that's sort of a,
No, because what happened, actually, my email got tagged to like a ton of responses, and the reason being is I shared the link that got sent to me
Yeah.
on the mail. So then when they clicked on it, it was my email, and they were like 50 Felicetti. I'm like, I swear to God, I did not fill it out 50 times. It was
Yeah.
because that link had come from my email.
I'm just, because the way things are now, people get, I mean, everybody, you get all this mail and you don't want to click on anything.
But like
Because
Lindsay
you don't
said,
know
they
what
have
you're
to
doing.
have subscribed
I mean,
to
it's-
it for their email to show up. They
Right,
subscribe
but
to it, they chose to
Yeah.
do that.
Right. And I take that information out when we post the results.
Right.
So not.
So unless someone's gonna put their name in a comment, you're not gonna know. who it
Okay, I'm
was.
just asking the question.
Yeah,
No, it's a good question to ask.
very good question.
Not that I am suspicious of people who send me all these damn emails from the Chinese characters in them and all this other stuff. Now, why wouldn't I click on that?
If they
Give them
talk
my
about
personal
removing the
information?
word, the word general from it, well, then what it was.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, all right.
Anything else on the survey that we feel we need to change or morph before we ask for this to be sent out? Is all in favor, everyone in favor of having the survey sent
All
out?
in favor?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Aye.
All right,
Aye.
aye. Excellent. Look at us, we did something. Survey 2 going out.
Okay.
See
See what we get out
so
of it.
let's get through the holidays. I don't plan on meeting until the new year, everybody. I'm sure everyone agrees.
That's good.
Um,
We are so busy.
so do we want to aim for the second week, the 9th, January 2025?
I have it in as the CPC meeting that day.
You do?
so
Oh, see,
That
I
would be
didn't.
lovely.
So that would be awesome. So, all right, does that work for everybody? So
Yep.
January 9th is our next meeting. And we'll see if we have any survey, we'll hopefully get the survey out. Don't know if we'll have any results by then. Lindsay, if you need help doing it, I can always pop in on a Wednesday night.
As long as I have, if this is a Word doc or some way I can copy it.
It is, I have it in Word and Adobe. I have it both.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
can,
I
I'll
should
send
be
it to
able
you.
to just copy and paste.
Okay, yep, and yeah, I know the format's not gonna line up without you.
It's gonna be wonky.
But, I think that's it for tonight's meeting. Is there anything else, any other business, anything like that that we need to go over or talk about?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Do I have a second?
All right.
Second,
All right, 2 seconds, we're
Have a
out.
good night.
Have a good night, bye Dave.
Yeah,
thank you all.
So that'll
Good
be
night,
at
everybody.
that'll be
Good night,
at
Betsy.
6 o'clock then.
Yeah.
Staying at 6.
All right.
No. Just seems like it's gonna take forever, that's all.
It does, it
forever.
does.
You're not wrong.
I'm not sure I'm gonna live long enough. You guys are pushing me
John, I
here.
might have more gray hair. I might catch up with you.
You have hair, as my wife says. She has hair, I know.
Tom's on the committee too.
Hi, Tom. I gotta.
Hi, sorry I was late.
I'll end the YouTube.
Oh.
Okay,
So,
good.
how's your son doing? He still, did he
He's
come home?
good. He is, he's gonna come home for, speaking of the devil.